We begin today's Mobil One The Grid with a Formula One world champion mixing it up with NASCAR's elite at the Circuit of the Americas.
He's won the F1 title, tried his hand at the WEC, even taken on everything that off-road racing could throw at him. Now Jenson Button is turning his attention to NASCAR.
I retired from F1 in 2016, did one race in 17, and since then I've done a few different things over the years. I raced in Super GT, I raced at Le Mans, and I raced in a GT3 car. But I really wanted to race in NASCAR. So I feel very lucky, and a big thanks to Mobil One for this opportunity. So I arrived at Qatar with no experience of racing in a stock car. 50-minute practice, boom, into qualifying, and then you have the race.
With the support of SHR and Rick Ware Racing, Button is driving the number 15 Mobil One Ford Mustang in 3 Cup Series races, beginning at the Circuit of the Americas.
An F1 car compared to a stock car lap time is very different. You know, they're like, I think 40 seconds slower. It feels like a different track. Stock car, heavier, hardly any downforce, doesn't stop, and it's really difficult to change direction. But it doesn't mean it's worse to drive. It's fun, it's enjoyable. I mean, I'm still so far from being as competitive as I'd like to be. But it's fun, and the racing is just nuts.
He's not the only driver feeling a little out of his comfort zone. Fellow Formula One champion Kimi Räikkönen was competing in his 2nd NASCAR race.
It's great that Kimi's racing, and it's just luck that we're doing the same race. Both world champions. It's really cool that we're both here, and it's complete coincidence. I saw him for the first time today in the Young Drivers briefing, which is Kimi, myself, Jordan Taylor, and Connor Daly. So it's quite an unusual rookie briefing. But no, really good to see him, and I look forward to seeing him out on track.
The 43-year-old Briton is always competitive and hoped to make a good impression in the race, but was realistic about his chances.
Every racing driver will say they want to win, and I want to win, but I also have a lot of respect for all the guys out there. You know, these are the best guys in the world when it comes to stock cars. So with Briscoe, with Priest, with quite a lot of the guys actually, they've been very forthcoming with hey, you know what, if you have anything, come to me. It's like, really? Are you really going to tell me the truth? I saw Bubba as well earlier on. He's like, what are you doing here? It's like, I really don't know, but it's awesome. The important thing for me is that I just keep improving through the race. A result in terms of position, I have no idea. Being in the top 15 doesn't really mean much to me. It's more that I've learned this weekend, and I can walk away with confidence.
Button finished the race in a creditable 18th position. Before his next Cup Series race, he's taking a NASCAR to the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Next up, we join hypercar champions Toyota, beginning their World Endurance Championship defense at Super Sebring.
Following a clean sweep of WEC titles last season, the Toyota team arrived in Florida with their 2 GR010 hybrids ready to take on new rivals in the top-flight hypercar category.
It was a very successful year for the team. Picked up the manufacturers and the Drivers' Championship again, so that was, awesome. And I mean, that's the thing, right? Once you win it once, the aim is to try and keep it.
Of course, there's going to be people who say you didn't have much competition, which it's true that we're going to have a lot more competition coming up this year, but we did have Alpine fighting us right until that last race, and obviously we're always fighting the sister car 100%.
I think our achievement the last couple of years was a really big step. And, this year I think it's going to be the big year for us. This is the 100-year anniversary for Le Mans 24, so I think we are definitely looking for the big challenge here.
Setting their sights on a 6th drivers and manufacturers double and a 6th consecutive Le Mans success, the champions are up against the biggest field in the top category since 2012.
So we have 11 cars here, 11 LMH, LMDH cars, so the competition has fiercely increased. And this is motivation enough. What do you want more? We say drive again against Porsche. We still have some things we would like to collect against them. Ferrari's coming back, Peugeot strong here, Cadillac with a lot of experience coming from INSA. So it's a beautiful starting field.
I think it's an important season for us, at least, especially in my point of view, because we really want to prove them that we are good, we are a strong team, and it's not like we had less competition and that's only why we won the races. We want to prove that we can win against tough competition. So I think the ACO together with the FIA, they've done a great job, attracted so many manufacturers. We know today it's not easy, but just hope now we can make sure that new era is going to last for a long time.
Hoping to start the season with a victory on Sebring's infamous bumps, the Japanese manufacturer had arrived with an upgraded and improved GR010.
We have upgraded our car, which is very important. After 2 years racing it, you have a lot of ideas, and within the regulations you do an update. The details we have changed on the car are mainly aerodynamically, but also under the bonnet you'll find some changes, but we have put some wing lids, we have put some dive planes more. The robustness is important, because in a race like Le Mans or like especially Sebring here, you will have or potentially have some contacts. And then of course there were some new features in the car which we have to put in order to improve the performance.
The new package and everything for the 2023 car felt good. I mean, obviously, we had a few endurance tests, and Sebring was the first time actually we could compare data on the real track, and it looks good. I mean, it's just the beginning. We need to check and keep working. You know, there is so many parameters, so many things that we need to go through. But the first impression was good.
Teams must also contend with a new rule banning the use of tyre warmers this season. To assist drivers, Michelin created a new compound designed to bring colder tyres up to temperature quickly at the start of a stint.
Well, here we see that this year we come up with the new regulations, no tyre warmers. So first of all, a challenge for the engineers, how we're going to handle this. In Sebring, the issue seems to be not so big, because first of all, Michelin has done a great job. They of course had to anticipate the changes, and they have put a tyre for us which is working. The drivers have to anticipate this, but with the temperatures here in Sebring, you put them in the sun, so the FIA comes around, please close, because we don't want to have tyre warmers, also not atmospherical. So in this respect, it's a challenge for everybody here to make the car drivable, and we are more than happy to take this on.
Though there was some high drama in Sebring's season opener, including a dramatic crash for AF Corsa, for Toyota the tyres stuck. They dominated the 1,000-mile race with the 7 car leading home a 1-2 victory more than 2 laps ahead of the competition.
Not that we weren't motivated before, but I feel like we do have a bit of a target on our back now, which adds pressure. Our motivation's incredibly high to defend both Le Mans and the World Championship. I think it means everything to try and do that. A lot of dedication is put into this project. For a lot of us, it's everything. You know?
We'll be back at Sebring later, but right now it's Formula One as we check in with Checo Perez. Oracle Red Bull Racing enter 2023 as the reigning F1 Constructors Champions, and we caught up with their Mexican ace in the busy opening weeks of the campaign after a dream start with a 1-2 finish in both of the first 2 races.
I feel good. I think it's been a really good start, and I think the team is in great momentum. It's obviously a very long season ahead of us, so we have to take it race by race. It's an amazing start to the season. So we just have to keep chipping away. The competition is only gonna get stronger, and we just have to make sure we are able to deliver when it matters.
After backing up his teammate Max Verstappen in Bahrain, Perez won the second race in Saudi Arabia from pole position. The Mexican is keen to surpass his tally last season of a pair of victories and 11 podiums, which helped net the Constructors' title for the team.
It was a good year for the team, but obviously I wanna make another big step this season. I wanna be able to get more wins, more podiums, and yeah, just get that consistency, which is key for our hopes. I'm definitely enjoying it now and having a good moment with the team. I think we're going through a good period together. I think now I really feel at home at the team. I'm surrounded by my people, and I really believe that I'm the most prepared I've ever been to the start of a new season. So yeah, looking forward massively.
Though up against 2-time world champion Verstappen, Perez isn't fazed by the Dutchman's record 15 victories last year and is improving his qualifying pace to make sure he's in position for maximum points on race day.
Certainly, I think there is some good improvements we still can do with the qualifying performances, so yeah, I'm working on that, and we are living on very small margins at the moment within Max and myself, so it will be good to keep it that way till the end of the year.
The team's first job is to be consistent, drive home their early advantage and win the Constructors' title. Then they can let their racers fight it out for the driver's crown, and so far they're neck and neck.
I'm just thinking race by race, and I want to win every race I go to, and that is my target for now. But I believe there is plenty more to come. I believe that I'm just getting stronger with the team, more solid in many different areas, so I think there are great times coming ahead.
We're in the simulator now with NASCAR ace Aric Almirola.
These days, for SHR's Cup Series drivers, Race week begins not at the racetrack, but at the Ford Performance Simulator in North Carolina.
The simulator is extremely important. It's arguably the most important tool we have, because it's the only thing we have to allow us to go and test and change setups and change things on the race car prior to going to that event. In years past, we could go to the racetrack and we could completely overhaul the setup on the race car after a practice. We can't do that anymore. We show up to the racetrack and we can change minimal things on the race car before qualifying. And once we qualify, the setup is locked into the car for the race. So we have to rely on that simulator heavily to guide us and lead us in the direction that we're going to go with the setup of our race car.
We use the driver simulator for a ton of things. Since there's not much on-track testing anymore, we use it on gear ratio stuff. We use it on brakes. We change brake pads. Does he like that? Does he not like that? And all that stuff is modeled for us, so we can plug it into the simulator and get as close as we can to a real life experience with it before we show up. All of those things are so realistic that it really translates to Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the real racetrack.
The simulator can't replicate everything, certainly not the reality of a crowded track of 40 unpredictable cars, but if the data is good, then this virtual world tool is very effective.
Simulator time helps everybody. We all know that it's called simulation for a reason. It's not perfect, but you try and make it as close to real world as you can. And one of the things that my group does is, through feedback from the drivers and data that we collect from tests and those type of things, is try and make that more realistic to the track. So anytime we get in there, we're trying different things to make it better, improve the processes in order to help our teams be better suited to go to the racetrack.
Your lockup was minimal there. It actually looked better in the first run.
I felt like I did lock up the tire a little bit more aggressively one time, but that was because I used a little bit more brake pressure.
You are good to go.
The simulator is based on modeling, so if we are off just the slightest, you get to the real racetrack and you're like, it doesn't drive like the simulator at all. And those usually come down to two things: tire modeling and aero modeling. Two things that we work extremely hard to get as accurate as possible, but anything off on aero or on the tire model completely kind of throws out a lot of the stuff you're doing there in the driver simulator. So we've made a huge effort, so as soon as the race is over on Sunday, we get in the simulator as soon as possible with one of our guys with his race setup, so he can drive it and say, it drives just like that, or this is what's different. And then we work on how to make it the same, and then we feel that aero and tire is closer to real life.
Ford Performance have invested heavily in their simulator, and it's busy all day, every day, with multiple teams desperate for time. It's a long way from a home racing rig, but then NASCAR is a serious business.
The simulator that we go to is multi-million-dollar simulator. It's actually a cockpit, it's Eric's seat in the car, it's Eric's pedals, it's our dash, everything, so it looks like he's in our race car when he's sitting in there. His steering wheel placement, and it's on actuators. So when he goes into the corner, he can feel the car, he can feel G-forces, you can feel the car rattling around, and when you're there watching, you can see the cockpit he's sitting in bounce aggressively and hear the noise it makes when it goes over the bumps going down the backstretch or in the middle of the corner. So it's a much more realistic, and there's quite a few zeros at the end of the price tag for this one versus the one you can have at your home.
The simulator is as close to reality as you can possibly get. It's not real world, but it is state of the art, and the engineering and technology behind the simulator continues to get better and evolve, and we're in the process of developing a brand new simulator right now with Ford. But there's nothing like real life, right? And a part of it is, even if you made it exactly like real life, the driver inside the car in the simulator is always going to do things that he wouldn't necessarily do in real life, because there's no consequences. You can hit restart, you can crash and it doesn't hurt. Even when you get it as perfect as you can possibly get it, it still comes down to how you apply it.
We head back to Sebring now to join the bad boys from Detroit. 12-time winners of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, defending champions from 2022, Corvette Racing are masters of Sebring and have won more times there than at any other track.
For Corvette Racing to have won Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring is pretty incredible, so hopefully we can make it 13 this year. Sebring is known for just being a rough circuit, lots of bumps. It's built on an old World War II airstrip, so teams and cars and drivers come here to kind of prove their equipment, so it speaks volumes for Corvette racing over its history to have so much success here on such a hallowed grounds.
The race itself obviously is super challenging, being 12 hours. Everyone says 12 hours at Sebring is like 24 hours everywhere else. The Corvettes that I've raced here have always been great race cars. So something that they do, some magic dust that Gary Pratt or some of the engineers have kind of sprinkled on these cars over the years has made that difference. But if I told you all Corvettes racing secrets on how we're so fast here at Sebring, I'd be fired in a heartbeat.
The Mobil 1 Sebring 12 hours means a lot to Corvette racing itself. I mean, we had a lot of success. I was lucky enough to win 4 times, I think, here. So every time we come back here, it's always a good race for us. And let's hope this is another good one.
Corvette's 25th year of top-level endurance racing also sees a full-time entry in the World Endurance Championship, kicking off their season at Sebring. Their drivers in the number 33 for the WEC 1,000 miles would be bringing all their previous experience from the IMSA 12-hour race.
My very first race ever in 2007 was at Sebring. I've grown to love this place over time. Once in the Viper, we were leading the race and we blew an engine on the last lap of the race. So we won the 11 hours and 58 minutes of Sebring. So both Corvette racing and myself have a lot of experience here.
It's such a unique place, such a difficult place. And I really believe this is one of the proper old school endurance events. We don't get so much of those anymore. They all turn into sprint races, but this is a proper race. You have to survive. Sebring is in a league of its own.
Katzberg, Keating and Nico Verone scored a sensational victory in the WEC race on the Friday, but that didn't guarantee that the number 3 car team would follow suit on the Saturday.
Having the WEC here is always good, especially for the fans. They get 2 big races, 2 of the biggest sports car championships around the world, so we get to watch those WEC guys race, and you can really learn a lot from it, even though it's a different car, a different class. You can kind of see how the race flows, see how many yellows are going to be, how the track develops over a run.
It's not like it used to be when we were on the C7R here on a complete identical spec. That was double the time of testing, and I think that was helping both the programs. Now we are running a WEC GTLM and IMSA GT Pro car, which is completely different. The only thing you can share is track conditions.
The 12 hours of Sebring was looking promising for much of the day for Corvette racing. Garcia, Taylor and Milner leading for most of the race, but they know as well as anyone that the race finishes at night, and that can be the biggest test.
It's a very unique feeling as a driver on Sebring in the dark. You come through turn 1 and you've got all the pit straight lights, and as soon as you go around 1, you kind of go into this little bit of a black hole until you get back around to the front straight. So it's a lot of fun. Usually by that time of the race, the flow of the race is much different. The lap times usually come down as the track temp goes down, so hopefully every time you get to the nighttime, you're still in the hunt for the win and you can go racing.
With just minutes left in this year's race, Corvette's finisher Garcia was at the wheel, chasing victory in heavy traffic when heartbreak struck.
The overall GTP leaders have come together, and that's the Corvette they've hit as well. Oh my goodness! Their Mobil 1 12 hours of Sebring is over.
Super Sebring had delivered the highs and lows of endurance racing. The US squad did leave Florida with a victory. This time, though, it had been the WEC team that triggered the celebrations. We end today with IndyCar as we join a star driver reliving that all-important first win.
From Formula One to World Rally and from IndyCar to sports car racing, this season we're finding out how important a breakthrough victory can be. For 6-time IndyCar champion Scott Dixon, that day came at Homestead, Miami in 2003.
There's a look at Scott Dixon driving for Chip Ganassi. He'll be starting back in 12th position.
Yeah, this young man has high hopes. The first win at Homestead was a game changer for me. You know, with the team for one, with Target, with everything, it was a big deal. And it was the first year we'd moved to IndyCar as such as what it was called at that time.
We're about to go green, 200 laps.
It was a change. I think it got me through the lean years of 04 and 05 where we had a few problems here and there, and then continued me on, I think, to stay with the team to go on to the success that we've had. So definitely a game changer.
Homestead was the first race of the newly named IndyCar Series, and for the young New Zealander, it was the beginning of a 20-year career with legendary team owner Chip Ganassi.
It's kind of weird, you know, we qualified pretty average and then just had one of those days where the car was very good, but I think the thing I remember the most about that race was actually when I went out onto the track, I realized I hadn't done my helmet up. So luckily under caution, I was able to do my helmet up, but that was the only thing that pops to my memory from that race.
Scott Dixon is the fastest car on the racetrack right now. He is really picking them up and laying them down.
Dixon's pace had him running in second between Penske's two Brazilian aces, Helio Castroneves and race leader Gil de Ferran.
Having a very competitive car, I think the whole package with G-Force at that time, with Toyota, everything that went into it, you know, we were kind of a little unknown. I would say the consistency of the car throughout the run was the game changer.
When the caution flag flew with less than 60 laps to go, they headed for their final pit stops.
That last pit stop where I kind of dove to the inside of Gilles in pit entry, and then we had a great pit stop which bolted out, and then we kind of checked out.
There's the de Ferran car, and he pulls out. But it looks like one of the target cars is going to beat him out.
Scott Dixon is going to be leading this race.
No singular person wins these races. It's a team effort. Chip and his team has been a massive part of the success that I've had.
Chip Ganassi once again looks like a genius. Off the corner, Scott Dixon, the 22-year-old, going to take the checkered flag and pick up his first ever IndyCar Series win.
Being here for 20 plus years now. Got my 20-year anniversary present this Christmas, which was very special. But yeah, there was a few key moments in that race, but still remember it clear as day.
Next time, NASCAR returns to its roots for the All-Star race. And we get set for the greatest spectacle in racing. We'll see you then on Mobil One The Grid.